It's another Wednesday night, and we're ready to share with you what Bank of Jamaica is working on for you. Thanks, viewers, for joining us here on Centrally Speaking. I'm Anna.
And I'm Sheena. Centrally Speaking is a program that opens up the conversation around important matters of economics and finance, matters of national importance that have an impact on your life.
So, viewers, today, as usual, we'll continue to break down topics like inflation, price stability, monetary policy, in a way that you hopefully can understand.
And that is really important because we all need to know how these things relate to our everyday lives.
So, viewers, that's why we have experts, especially from Bank of Jamaica, who will help us to do just that.
Right. So, Anna, share with our viewers where we start.
So, last season, we started a conversation with the Division Chief, Robert Stennett, Division Chief for Research and Economic Programming at Bank of Jamaica on monetary policy. This season, we continue that discussion.
But first, let's check in with the streets.
How do you rate Jamaica's economic performance?
The economy are going good, because like Andrew Willis are going with it. And the first in a history, that in a history book in a Jamaica. Yeah, that, the first economy steady so.
I think the government is playing their part to have the economy stable.
I don't say a politics thing me are dealing now, but you see before this corona thing, the government did do him thing. Tell us straight, he may do him thing. But you see now this corona thing come on, John know me I tell the people them, you see when it wear off, they will kill you with things, with prices, etc. The whole part thing we are going to face.
Economy kind of slow for me still, you know, you see it, because a couple months ago, music can buy like 10,000 worth of goods. I have to cut it down to 5, you see it, because some people, you know, kind of skeptical to what go on, you see it.
Normally, one problem I have right now, normally I out here sell 8 and 10 grand a day for peanut, and right now, at 3 and 15 bills a day I sell the peanut, I hardly can pay my partner.
But then the idea of choice, work, save, and know, say have something at the back. When the hard time comes, you can make sure you go in at the back and spend out of the hard time when you save. So, my brother, I say that about government. That's not going to win, brother. You have to talk with yourself. And yourself more important right now, government. Because all of your government, and you have to put yourself in the right position, you know, say, yeah, you have to look for rainy day.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Centrally Speaking. Robert Stennett, Division Chief at Bank of Jamaica for the Research and Economic Programming Division, is our very special guest. Mr. Stennett, welcome to Centrally Speaking.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back, Robert. It's good to have you. All right, so we have been talking about monetary policy, right? Talk to you straight. It'll work.
Well, a simple answer would be to say yes, but I won't stop there.
Right.
Okay? Just to remind that monetary policy refers to the actions of the central bank in relation to controlling the price and the volume of credit in an economy with a view to affecting economic activity and ultimately inflation. So what is bank's main policy tool? Well, as we know, it is the interest rate that it pays banks, building societies and merchant banks on the current accounts that they hold at the central bank. Mm-hmm. And the objective is to encourage banks to lend with a view to affecting economic activity. So what has been the record? Over the past 2 years, the central bank has lowered the policy rate on several occasions, starting at 3.25%.
Policy rate meaning your interest rate.
The same policy rate to which I referred earlier.
Right.
Yes.
From 3.25% as at the beginning of 2018, and it is now at a very low level of 0.5%. So we have already seen signs that this accommodative monetary policy stance is working. Bank credit grew by 18% at December 2019 at a much faster rate than the 13% that it grew by in December 2018.
Okay.
So that is within a year?
Yes.
Right.
So
Okay.
it has jumped quite a bit.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The impact of this is also evident. We have seen that GDP is growing at a faster rate.
Right.
Although when you look at the numbers, they are masked by the fact that we had a closure of the Gisco Alpat plant during the year.
Right.
So had that not happened, you would have seen a faster growth in the overall economy. With respect to inflation, I would say that inflation is now solidly within the bank's target range of 4% to 6%.
Yes.
At January.
Right.
inflation was 5.2%, and as we know, this is exactly where the bank wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So I would say monetary policy is doing quite well.
So, Mr. Stennett, I want you to talk to the farmer, the school teacher, the bus driver. I want you to tell them why their monthly or daily bills keep going up. Supermarket bill, for example.
Well, Sheena, the simple answer is shortages. That is to say, if the demand for any good or services exceed the available supply, then prices are going to rise. I'm going to give you 2 examples.
Sure.
Yeah.
The one that I think we're most familiar with is in agriculture, where, as we know, if there's a flood and tomatoes are short, then the price of tomatoes are going to go up.
Right,
Why?
right.
Because the available supply has gone down, but consumers still want to buy what they want in tomatoes. The second example is, I think, more understandable to Jamaicans. That is to say, the demand for foreign exchange may actually outstrip the supply of foreign exchange. And as we know, Jamaicans require foreign exchange to buy imported goods and services. So if the demand for foreign exchange is in excess of the supply, the exchange rate is going to depreciate, and the imports that Jamaicans buy with this dollar is therefore going to become more expensive in Jamaican dollar terms. In general, therefore, if you have demand at the level of the economy outstripping the available supply, then of course prices overall is going to rise.
What is the role of Bank of Jamaica in controlling price increases?
As you know, the government has given Bank of Jamaica a target for price increases, and they have indicated to us that prices should go up by no more than 6% and no less than 4%.
Right.
So our job is to manage monetary policy in such a way that we keep prices increasing at a low,
Between that range.
stable rate.
Right.
We've been learning on this program that related to price increases is the consumer price index,
Yes.
which is the basket of goods and services that the typical householder uses,
Yes.
and the rate of price increases for those services.
Yes.
Now, so break it down for me again. What is the CPI? How critical it is as a measurement for BOJ's success in inflation targeting?
Well, it is actually the tool that we use to measure how we're doing.
Right.
The CPI is actually what the CPI does. That is to say, it measures the average change in the prices of asset of goods and services within the economy over a period of time. I think it's useful to give you some background. Firstly, the CPI is computed by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica.
Okay.
It is computed on a monthly basis, and it does so by collecting the prices of goods and services across Jamaica on a monthly basis.
Right.
So what happens is that Statin sends out its surveyors to over 10,000 establishments to collect these prices, and it collects over 500 prices across the economy. Gathers these information into one and computes an average that it calls the CPI. Now, it is a change in the CPI that we measure and call inflation.
So in January, as you said, BOJ managed to achieve inflation in the target range of 4 to 6%, with the CPI coming out at 5.2%.
Yes.
So you are enjoying some success in this regard.
I would say so, but let us see what the future holds.
So Robert, we're not going to ask you any more questions today. We're not going to take up any more of your time. We're going to allow you to bask in the success that the bank has enjoyed in a positive inflation outturn for January. But we're continuing the discussion, part 2 of this discussion, in our program next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And there you have it, viewers. Robert Stennett with Bank of Jamaica. Thank you so much. We'll give you the honor of letting our viewers know how they can find out more about Bank of Jamaica.
Well, my pleasure. As you know, you can follow us on Twitter at Central Bank Jamaica, or on BOJ's Facebook page, or our YouTube channel. You can also visit our website at boj.org.jm.
We also invite you to send in your questions on Twitter or post your comments to Facebook. Anything you want to know, Robert will answer. Here's something else you may want to know. It's time for the fun fact.
There is inflation, which is the increase in price of goods and services, and then there's hyperinflation, which is a rapid increase in prices that eventually erodes the value of a country's currency. To date, the country with the highest levels of hyperinflation has been Zimbabwe To deal with their hyperinflation that reached the unbelievable level of 231 million% and saw the price of bread reaching 300 billion Zimbabwean dollars, the government of Zimbabwe issued a $100 trillion note in 2008. 100 trillion, by the way, is a 1 with 14 zeros, making the note the highest denomination in the world. When inflation reached a staggering 500 million% in the country, the leaders shelved the hugely devalued Zimbabwean dollar and began allowing people to do business in other currencies. In 2019, the Zimbabwe dollar returned to circulation.
Our discussion today focused on monetary policy, but just in case you missed a few details, here are the fast facts. Number 1, inflation is now within the target range. At January 2020, the annual inflation rate was 5.2%, while the bank's target range is 4 to 6%. Number 2, if demand is less than supply, prices will fall, as there will be an excess amount of goods and services. Number 3, BOJ's business is to keep prices low, stable, and predictable. Number 4, the CPI measures the average change in the price of a selected basket of goods and services purchased by the average Jamaican. Number 5, inflation is calculated as the percentage change in the CPI, and it measures how cost of living has changed over a certain period of time. And that was today's Fast Facts.
And that's all the time we have for this episode of Centrally Speaking. But we'll have part 2 of our conversation about monetary policy next week. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Anna. Join us at the same time right here on your station next week when we continue the discussion with Mr. Stennett. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Centrally Speaking is a production of Bank of Jamaica.